we talk to our customers regularly and frequently, and the feedback we get from them indicates that all of them are experiencing the same kinds of expensive problems, namely high staff turnover, high levels of stress, high levels of absenteeism, and along with that, high recruitment and high retraining costs. So if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. These four expensive issues don't exist in a vacuum or by themselves. They actually can be seen, in my opinion, in our opinion, as a cycle. So in actual fact, it's probably likely that what you're in at the moment is kind of a cycle, and it will be a repeating cycle unless we can find ways to help you to lower this initial high level of stress. Because of course, high levels of stress is going to then cause high levels of absenteeism, which is going to cause high staff turnover and ongoing recruitment costs and problems and training and more stress and more absenteeism and so on and so on and so on and so on. We go round the circle like that. What we want to help you do is to break the cycle by lowering that initial sort of first level of stress in the workplace. And the approach that I know you probably heard us talk about quite a lot is this idea of SCARF. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware what SCARF is. So I thought, with my background in training and psychology, that I would take you through a little bit about the background knowledge to do with SCARF today. So the SJS kind of difference, what makes us different is that we want to use neuroscience to help you influence others and improve your workplace environment, to improve your contact center environment. And we believe the way to do that is through SCARF. Now, in case you didn't know, SCARF, you can see it there as an acronym, and it represents 5 domains that influence human behavior. And I've put that in the workplace, but it could be in any situation, not just the workplace. And all of these things, I think any of us can relate to. So this guy, David Rock, he is a neuro leadership expert. And he says that our behavior is influenced by status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. And each of those things spells out the word SCARF. And underneath that, I put a little sentence there to explain what each of those domains represent. So status is how important we perceive ourselves in the eyes of others. Certainty refers to our capacity to predict the future, not in the sense that we've become psychic, but in the sense that we can have confidence about what's going to happen. We have some feeling of control over that. Autonomy is linked to that as well. Okay, so those two things go together, obviously. Relatedness deals with our perception of how we feel we can connect to other people and how safe we feel around them. And fairness speaks for itself. It's how we feel we're being treated in relation to our own behavior. This is important because knowing a bit about SCARF can help you optimize and reduce stress in any situation, not just in the workplace, not just in the contact center, but in any situation. And the reason is this: anytime that someone does something to you or does something to me which lowers any of these feelings, so anytime something happens that might lower our sense of status, that reduces our certainty, that lowers our autonomy, makes us feel less related or treated unfairly, what happens is something that's very interesting, and this has been supported by evidence from MRI scans of the brain. Anytime that something happens to somebody which lowers any of the 5 SCARF domains, what happens is there's an increase in something called social pain. Now, social pain is a term that describes a kind of pain that's perceived in the brain. And it's perceived in the same part of the brain as physical pain. So it's using the same brain resources, the same oxygen, the same glucose. It's processed in the same way as pain. And once the body begins to experience any kind of pain, the reaction is certain, it's known, and it's guaranteed. So if you stub your toe on the door, if you shut your hand in the car door, if you know, cut your finger with a sharp knife, the response pathway in the brain, in the body, is the same as if somebody treats you unfairly, lowers your certainty, or reduces your status. And the first thing that happens, of course, is always hormonal, because hormones are what drive our behavior. And when you lower status, you lower certainty, you lower autonomy, you increase pain. It doesn't matter that social pain is quote unquote different than physical pain, because they're processed in the same way. That means you're guaranteed to cause an adrenaline release in that person. Whenever that happens, you get a fight or flight response, which is the traditional, as everybody knows, you either stand your ground and you fight that threat, or you run away from it. And those of you in the room today that will work in contact centers, you know which of your agents are the ones that when they feel threatened, status reduced, less autonomy, you know which ones are going to stand there and they're going to fight you, and which ones will run away. Run away could literally be running away, like physically running away from you, but most often it translates into absenteeism, sickness, and staff turnover. The good news is it's very easy to do things that increase people's status, certainty, autonomy, sense of relatedness, and sense of fairness. And the opposite pathway is equally guaranteed. So anytime that you do anything to increase somebody's status, to give them important certainty, to treat them fairly, you not only decrease social pain perception, which is very important, but actually what else you cause to happen is you cause a different hormone to be released called dopamine. Now, dopamine is the hormone that makes us check our phones every 5 seconds to see if we've got any new Facebook messages or WhatsApp messages or texts or emails. Dopamine is the habit-forming hormone. And it does that because when dopamine is released, people feel rewarded. They feel calm, they feel safe, they feel relaxed, they feel rewarded. And that's a very addictive feeling. It's the psychology and physiology behind smoking, behind addiction, behind even things like I said, social media checking, email checking, all those things link back to dopamine. So it's incredibly powerful. And it's a guaranteed response. So the response in both situations, when you lower someone's scarf domains or when you increase someone's scarf domains, the response pathway is guaranteed to happen. The great thing about scarf is now that you know about it, now that you're aware of it, you can actually begin to influence people's behavior just by knowing this. Studies have shown that knowing this information about scarf and the hormone pathways gives you self-awareness and self-certainty. And this will subconsciously, actually, moving forwards from today, this will affect how you behave. And that will be enough on its own. If you did nothing else today, apart from just learned about scarf, that will influence your behavior in ways that you can then influence other people in positive ways. So believe it or not, people will be subconsciously aware that you have certainty, and that will give them certainty. That's a bit of a win-win situation. And the scarf domains and the reward and pain pathways that underline it, they are the basis for all the work we do at SJS with Optimize and with our workshops and with our training.